Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And welcome to Grandma's March event. Welcome to the space. And it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Yeah, as you know, this is just an informal conversation. And it's been some years that I really wanted to here in the space, have a conversation with you. And yeah, today is the day it is happening. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
No, for sure, it's a pleasure. As I mentioned before, and for those that are watching, Grandma's March event is an event that happens every year. This is the fifth edition, and it is an event that is all inspiring my Colombian grandmothers, Rosita and Pepa, and is a space to bring connection. I always do it in the month of March to celebrate International Women's Month, celebrate the grandmothers, wise women, and everything related to ancestral feminine wisdom. And every year, as a very intuitive way, I bring a theme for the year, and this year the theme is the nurturing essence of home, water, and wisdom. And as some of you have heard in other probably recordings, and I was sharing a little bit with Claire before, is that the way it came to me, it was last year, a hurricane. I live in Tampa, Florida, and my house got flooded. A lot of water came into Tampa, and I started wondering what is the message that wants to come, because what is happening to me, I believe, is maybe happening to others. And what is it about home? What does it mean? Like, what is that space of home, and it's like house or home physically, but it's more than that. Is our planet? What is happening with our planet? What is the water bringing, and what's the message? And that feminine side of the water brought a lot to me, a lot of memories, a lot of things, a lot of tears too. And yeah, so I'm being very curious to understand what it is awakening in others when I bring this theme for a year. And the idea of the space too is to allow you to share a little bit of your story, whatever you feel like sharing here in this space, and whatever insights or thoughts that come when you see the theme. So welcome, Claire. Thank you for being here today. And yeah, let's start the conversation. You sent me a beautiful bio. What I will just say is a few words, because I want you to give you the space of who you are and share your own story. And I know you are earth loving social entrepreneur, poet, and inspirational speaker, and you're all about passionate about humanity's returning to reciprocal conscious connection with the natural world. So thank you for that and all you have done. That's what I can say. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you, Claire. Whatever you feel like sharing, and whatever comes to your mind on the nurturing essence of home, water, and waste.
Well, first, I just want to acknowledge what a huge thing it is to have your home flooded,
Mm.
and to be displaced as you were for 5 months, and
Yes,
it's huge. It's completely destabilizing.
it
Um,
is.
it's I haven't been in a hurricane, but we live in fire country here in Northern California, and
Yeah.
things can change at the drop of a hat. Like, you just never know. And so, I just want to honor the energy of uncertainty,
Mm.
um, which is difficult and, uh, is seemingly here for all of us now, especially in the US as things go utterly crazy. And that with that comes an end to complacency. And with that comes a re-examining of everything. And, when your home is washed out from underneath you, and there is so much sorting and so much fixing, and the uncertainty of when's the next hurricane, and for me, when's the next fire, and
I
for
know.
the country, when's the next tornado, and it's just like, So we're having to grow the muscle of finding home in ourselves.
It is.
More and more. And so I know you wanted me to talk about myself, but that's difficult unless you ask me a specific question. So I'm just going to go to what came to me while you were speaking, and we can start from there.
Yes, we can start there.
Well, which is something that one of my dear friends, one of my old colleagues from Tree Sisters, Susie Martineau, she said, water is democracy. And I really sat with that. And I was just like, yeah, water is democracy. Water is everything. Water is every living thing on this planet. It's the thing we all share. It's the thing that brings life. Life cannot exist without water. It is we're largely made of it, and everything we eat is largely made of it. And so that creates a very real unity. It creates a real interconnectedness that is undeniable. We might struggle with the concept of indivisibility at the level of energy because we can't see it. But water is undeniable, as you discovered when it, plowed through your home. Like, there's no stopping it when it moves. And also it becomes the semi-permeable membrane thing, the osmosis in our bodies, the exchange that happens because water is present, because it can carry substances, it can carry minerals, it can carry toxins, it can carry oxygen, it can carry, and it carries memory, and it carries, like, it's the ultimate carrier, but and it's also the ultimate nurturer. Our blood is literally rivers. And so it just feels symbiotic, it's the wrong word, synchronous with intimacy. Like, at the deepest level, water is intimacy, and water is life, and water is all of us. It's the great unifier. And if we could, I don't know, become much more conscious of our relating to and through the element of water and move into reverence with it, I think we could learn so much about how to exist in our world in a way that is healing for all things. Like, I think it's a master teacher if we let it. And the other thing that I was thinking about in your honoring of the grandmothers, again, it's such a unifier. It's the one thing that we all share undeniably, are the wombs that our bloodlines have passed through, is the holding of the matrilineal lineage. Our mitochondria are passed down by our mothers, not our fathers. The capacity for life and illumination and energy that we have comes from the mother. And whether we had a good relationship with our grandmothers or our mothers or not, they gave us life. We're here because of them. We're made of their bodies. It's like, again, it's you're talking about a very undeniable and intrinsic intimacy with life. So both those things, to me, they feel, in a way, they're the same thing. Like, they're the same complete intimacy. And my husband is a famous whitewater rafter, and his whole world, he considers himself to have been educated by a river. And we live a watery existence, and one in which we're constantly looking for the lessons that water gives us. So it's very close to my heart. The topic of water is very close to my heart. So that's what arises in response to what you're bringing
to the theme. I love it. I think That water really is always been in my life too. Now that the way you're bringing it up and how much it is related to my grandmother's, really it feels like it's pretty much the same. It is that powerful feminine that at the same time is very, adaptable and flexible and caring, but sometimes is furious and it is interesting. You make me remember that many years ago I lived in Brazil, in the state of Bahia. I don't know if you are aware of where the state of Bahia is, but it's a very African influence. A lot of Africa, 80% of the population, they are Africans, and that they are very connected to the African orishas or goddess and gods of some of the African religion or traditions. And when I lived there, these amazing Black women sometimes, just for the fact they see you, they tell you who is your orisha, who is taking care, who is your protector in their religion. And they told me your orisha is Yemanja, which is she's the mother of water. She's the goddess of the ocean, of all the waters that are there. And then the date that they celebrate Yemanja in Brazil is the 2nd of February, and it happened that is the day that my mother was born. So it is like it is all connected, And now you're bringing that thing of the water and the grandmothers are like one thing to just make me remember about that, and how is that energy is always being following and is there, and so it's so motherly and it's so grandmotherly and it's so intimate. So
And it's also what I
yeah.
realize in my life is the emotionality of water.
There you go.
And the sensuality of water.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that and it's not just that we cry, it's not just the tears that I'm referring to. It's like, water is like the opposite of rigidity until it becomes ice, obviously. But water itself, it needs to move. Like it needs to move.
Yes.
So they say that if you want to kill water, put it in a canal, put it in a pipe, put it in a canal, put it somewhere where it can't spin.
Got it.
Because water basically energizes and cleanses itself by spinning. And so if you want to energize your water, you spin it. If you want to kill your water, you prevent it from spinning. And when you prevent it from spinning and moving in the way that it needs to energize itself, it'll die. The molecules will start to clump up. It loses its form. It's very hard to absorb. It holds toxins much more easily. And when you take that and you bring that to a human, and you have a stagnant or a rigid human who will not allow themselves to express their emotions, or is so rigid through trauma or conditioning that they can't actually allow themselves to express, then their system will build toxin, in the same way that, withheld emotion, stuck emotion in the system becomes so healthy. To me, it's the same thing. You can kill water, you can kill a human by disallowing the natural flow of emotion that is the way that we express the experience of life moving through us is not a static thing. It's a fluid thing. And so, I grew up in a very difficult situation, and one of the things that I would do to cope with it was dehydrate myself.
Yeah. Wow.
As a child, I refused to drink. And there were all sorts of complications as a result of that. But, as an adult, I look back and I'm just like, yeah, I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to feel. And so I made it so that my body's capacity to flow was incredibly impeded. It was a coping mechanism. So there's a very real relationship between, fluid and feeling.
Hmm.
And you
That
know,
is interesting.
people will conflate that with there's a hurricane, there's a typhoon, mother's angry.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
I don't know that that's true, but it certainly is a way of rebalancing the system of need
Yeah.
of huge energetic discharges that need to happen that
Hmm.
so often involve water. I just think it's an extraordinary mystery that is right here. I keep thinking the water that we are swimming in, whether it's in our bodies or it's in the cloud beings or it's in the oceans, it's the same water that was running through the dinosaurs' veins.
I know. It's just the same.
And the dinosaurs are therefore inside us. And, all the stories that we could ever want to know are encoded in the water of our bodies and our DNA. It's like the planetary story is us. There is no, separating us from the entire history of our lineages or the history of our planet, because our lineages were made of the planet, and all the water that is encoded with all that memory is sitting in our bodies. So, which is again a profound intimacy, and it requires profound intimacy and presence to be able to tune in and listen, and to receive if we want to, which I think is, I don't know, when I look at the chaos in the world and everything that's going on, the only way I can respond these days is to slow down more and more and more and more and more and more, to try to become present enough to be able to listen, to really listen, and to hear what my body is communicating, what the planet is communicating through my body, what actually is the next best action to take. I look back at especially during the years running Tree Sisters, and the insane workload that I had and the speed that I was living at, and unsurprisingly burnt myself out in the process, which is why I'm not working. But it was like the antithesis of everything I was teaching, which was, if you want intimacy with nature, if you want genuine, felt, cognizant relationship with nature, you have to slow down enough to be able to log on and listen. You can't do it from running at 100 miles an hour. I just can't do it. So I keep bringing myself in this moment back to the relationship between water, intimacy, presence, and the ability to listen.
What would you say? I'm just curious. Is the, or at least in your thoughts on your experience, is the, I wouldn't say the best, but what is a way to listen to water? Is being with water like inside, or is just observing to it? What I don't know. What ways are you in these days trying to do it, to connect to water and listen to water? Just curious about that.
Well, there's a very literal way, which is when my husband and I go on river trips, and we're on
There
the
you
river
go.
7 days, and I expand my awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and because the energetic webbing of life is everywhere, is everything. Like, you and I are intimately connected. We may not be able to see the webbing, but there is, there's energetic filaments of creation through everything, which means we are connected to everything, and that webbing runs through our own bodies and expands beyond our own bodies. And so I know that with my mind,
Mm-hmm.
but my body knows it in real time. So I meditate and I expand my awareness from the sensation of having a body to the water, to the river. And I I hold myself like a blank canvas. I hold myself like a receiver.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. You know, you have to like imagine that you're able to receive the feeling of the water to sort of kickstart a sensing of that. I mean, I don't know how to do anything, you know, but I can make myself available to be shown. And so I think one of the most important ingredients in any form of listening is radical humility. And, you know, and part of that is I don't know. But what helps me is I don't know what I am. I don't know what a human is. I know what I've been taught what a human is, but it's not. You know, a human is indivisible from nature. A human is indivisible from spirit. A human is indivisible from our ancestors. But in the Western world, anyway, we're not taught any of that. So I don't have an embodied conditioned knowing. I have a psychological or spiritual awareness, and then I'm trying to help my body drop its conditioned defenses to allow in the felt sense of water, or the felt sense of the birds, or the felt sense of the sky. It's actually easier for me, interestingly enough, to commune with the sky. But you know, it's one of my life's goals is simply to commune with the natural world in a way that brings me into the deepest level of intimacy with creation. That is, you know, I used to spend a lot of time hanging out in an ashram in India, and everyone was trying to get enlightened, and I was just like, I just want to feel connected, just want to feel connected. And I experienced it for 9 days, you know, way back before Mark and I got married. And I was in the whole coming backwards and forwards to America, and the American immigration back then was being a pain again. And they were threatening that I was going to be booted out of the country for 5 years. And then I was trying to get a visa for health reasons because I could get treatment over here that I couldn't get back home. And I could have got a medical visa and they wouldn't let me. And I'm in the American embassy and I'm fighting. And they marched me out of the embassy. 2 men with machine guns marched me out of the embassy, right?
Oh
I was so traumatized. Like I was so traumatized, you know, like, oh, you know, I live in America now, but it's a gun culture out here. It's not a gun culture in England. England is soft, you know, in comparison to what we have here. And
yeah.
Even a handgun would have been enough for me, but these guys had, you know, full, huge automatic or semi-automatic, like big guns, and they were brutal, and they got me by the arms and they marched me out of the embassy, and I'd just been told that I was not going to be allowed to come back into the country for 5 years, and I knew that I was supposed to be with Mark. I wasn't planning on getting married, but I knew I was supposed to be with Mark, and I knew that my life was supposed to be, at least this next phase was supposed to be in America, and I didn't know what to do because I cried for 48 hours. I mean, inconsolable. I couldn't get out of bed. I was flattened, and my brain was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, because in the being told you cannot be in America, my entire body was, but that's where I'm supposed to be. Like, what do you do with yourself when you can't follow what you know? Like, I you know, American immigration. Anyway, I was so traumatized, and it so hit my father wound, because it hit the you know, the patriarchal.
Got it.
You have no control. You get to do what you're told. What you need doesn't matter. Like, all of that was just like the whole lot went. Like, I was completely triggered. And what it did was it flipped me from complete separation into total unity consciousness, where I stayed for 9 days.
Wow.
I had a totally spontaneous unity consciousness experience for 9 days. Thank you very much, American immigration.
Yeah.
And you know, you never really know what is good or bad in this world. And that was a really big lesson to me. It gave me the greatest gift. And for that 9 days, I was the sky, and I was the trees, and I was the ocean, and I was the air. And one of the most extraordinary facets of that experience was that I had no insecurity, none. I remembered the word, but I had no concept of what it was, because I was woven into everything. There was no gap. There was no absence, and there was no lack. And what Claire wasn't Claire anymore. Claire was everything. And I would sit exploring my psyche in that state of like, wow, there's no fear. There's no insecurity. I would try and find the feeling of insecurity, and it had gone. Like it was, wow. And then it was just like, yeah, in this place, it is impossible to do harm.
There you go. Yeah.
It's impossible to do harm because it's all me, or I'm all it, or, it's not even a me anymore, but there's no separation. And so it was. So I know the feeling because I was there for 9 days. And then I had to go back to work. So I had to pick up a computer. It was Christmas holidays when that happened. And as soon as I picked up the laptop, it was gone.
That's it. It's gone. I know.
Gone. But it was, but I've had that feeling of complete intimacy. So I know it's real. I know it's possible. I have an imagining that is how the majority of the natural world exists and experiences itself, and I've also just been, I was in Baja for a month, and we spent a lot of time on the ocean with the whales and the dolphins. And that is indescribable. It's indescribable, the feeling of being with those beings who, again, people say like a blue whale can call and be heard over 2,000 miles through the water. And we were staying half an hour away from the nearest town, and the whale specialist would say, yeah, if you get in the water over, like an hour away, driving wise, the whales know you're in the water. And you get to be with them. I mean, we're sitting in a little 2-man kayak with these bus-sized beings underneath us, just like
really, like in a kayak.
In a kayak, and it's like, whoa, they're so big. But they're playing, and they're teaching their babies what they need to learn for the big trek back up to Alaska, and they're like relying on their back, and they're just like slapping their fins, and they're playing, and they're, again, it's just this, like, I would sit and I would meditate on my body as ocean and ocean as my body, and I would just try and get my mind out of the way, and I would try and soften into the feeling of the water in my body, a lot of which is saline. They can put seawater into a body in like for lymphatic fluid. They can just take seawater and stick it in your body, and the body will accept it because it's the same. And saline water in the womb. So it's a natural known state. And I was just like, can I let myself commune with the ocean? And it was after 45 minutes of really consciously trying to merge with the ocean that we had our most extraordinary encounter with 5 humpback whales and an enormous school of dolphins who just came to us and surrounded us and sat with us for like 40 minutes or so. And I was like, because I didn't feel like I had managed to become water, but I was in a very altered state. Like I was on my way, They treated us like we weren't there, which was just wow, like just.
They felt it, like they felt that you were connected, you were ready, you were there.
Yeah, usually you go to them and they go, they go as fast as they can. But we were one of the party, and it's just so. I don't know, in answer to your question. All I know is trying. All I know is knowing that the truth is we are 70, 80, 90% water or whatever it is. And therefore, intending to commune, being humble before, like, the other thing is, I think whatever we focus on, whatever we give presence to, and whatever we try to connect with, you know, think about a person. Like, if we're sitting here together, and you know, we can sit here and we can look at each other, or we can sit here and we can open our hearts to each other, or we can sit here and we can feel reverence for each other, or we can sit here and we can bow to the miracle of each other. Do you know what I mean? And every step of intending opens the field and opens the field and opens the field. And then the circuit of communion can naturally start to strengthen and deepen as we, so you can feel it happening, as we open into the fact that there is so much more that our minds can't grasp and our minds aren't designed to grasp, but our hearts get it, and our hearts know how to unify, our hearts know how to synchronize, you know, and at that level something else takes over. So, you know, love and reverence and humility feel like an intention mixed with intention, feel like, you know, when we bring humility to water and we bring our hearts to water, then we're, you know, 6 miles closer to being able to commune than we are when we just arrive and demand communion, you know, or just want communion. It's just like, come with love, come with the part of you, come with the frequency of love that is the frequency that is running through the vital web of creation, that is running through the web of the water. And like, you know, calibrate yourself through love and presence and see what happens. It was a very long answer.
Wow, what is, yeah, it makes so much sense, and it makes me even think that is almost like a language, you know. It's like you have to understand and speak that language so you can communicate with somebody else, you know. It's just like, of course, I was born in Colombia, I speak Spanish, and I had to learn English, but it's also like learning that language of, is a frequency, you know, is that, how can I communicate with water, or with birds, or with nature? And we were not taught to, you know, because it should be so natural. Like, what? Yeah, indigenous people, how they know naturally how to connect with nature easier than us, because they are there, it's part of their lives. Not all the indigenous people, but yeah, but we're so disconnected.
So we know it's possible, and you know, they hold the blueprint, or they hold the template, they hold the wisdom and the pathways, which is why it's vital that we protect them more than anything.
Yes.
But you know, it's also in us. It's in us. We're built as receivers and transmitters. We are part of nature, whether we're aware of it or not. You know, people used to say to me when I was leading Tree Sisters, and I'd be going around asking everybody for money for trees. Oh, I don't support the environment. And I'd go, you are the environment. You know, you are the environment. Like, not supporting the environment is like not supporting yourself.
Yourself, like, there you go.
Not just your support system, you're made from it. You know, just like, oh my God. But we're so, you know, it's nuts. Anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah, we're so yeah, I don't know. So many things that separate us from all that, you know. And now we live in front of computers and with walls, and we see through televisions or through and kids. I don't have kids, but I have 2 nephews, and they live in Miami in an apartment. And every time that I go there, that's all I try to do. Take them to nature, because these kids, they don't know nature, you know. They know nature through a video game, and they don't know where food grows. And, you know, what about water? Let's do picnics, let's roll in the grass, because yeah. So it's even from kids that are not being, we're completely disconnected.
I know. I grew up outside, and
same here.
It's like, outside was everything, and outside still is everything. You know, Mark and I, we sleep outside for probably 7 months of the year. And, you know, which you can't do in England very easily, but you can do it in California if it's not smoky. You know, we sleep in a mosquito tent because there's so many bloody bugs, but You know, we sleep with the stars and the moon and the bobcats and the mountain lions and the everything wandering around, you know. And it's just like, that's, you know, I mean, I'm a princess when it comes to bedding, so we still have a mattress this thick and, you know, the whole pillows and everything, but we're outside, and we're outside where I feel connected. Like, I feel connected. And then, you know, when it was below freezing when we came in last year, and we come in, and I suddenly feel completely muffled. Like, I feel stifled sleeping indoors. When you've been out for that long, it's this very interesting experience of being insulated from the life force of nature. I mean, now I'm so grateful, you know, it's freezing cold, it's pouring with rain, or it's snowing, and I'm just like, I don't want to go camping. But, you know, there just is something about, you know, the best thing about not working, and I'm in a hugely privileged position in terms of being able to not work right now. The best thing about it is the stepping out of the insanity of the production mentality and the on, do, because I'm 2.5 years in to not working, and I'm just starting to get glimmers of what rest is. And oh, it's crazy. You know, people were just like, you know, when I was getting really sick, it was, oh, you should take 3 weeks off. And I'm like, yeah, right, that's going to cut it. You know, or well,
3 weeks.
Yeah, take 6. And it's just like, I've been sick for 3 years here. I don't know that 6 weeks is going to fix it. Oh, well, take 3 months. Well, let's start with 3 months. 3 months allowed me to realize just how much more time I needed. 6 months, it was just like, oh my God, I am so far gone. You know, and then it was just like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to resign, because like, when you're constantly running over the top of your living system, and it's just running on empty, and then you're pouring out from empty and pouring out from empty, and you're digging a deeper pit and a deeper pit and a deeper pit. That's what we're doing to our planet. All of us. That is how humanity is living. We're driving over the top of living systems that are going, hello, we do actually have seasons. We don't produce all year round. Thank you very much. You know, you know, and we're just like, no, I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. No, it's and it's just like, wow, you know, I've worked insanely hard for 12 years, insanely hard. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to recover from that. But the momentum of that wheel that I was just going round and round and round and round and round. It wasn't like, oh, you take 6 months off and it stops. That's not what's happened. It's like, I'm just about, after 2.5 years, I've just about got to the stage where I can go, oh my God, this is rest. Like, and I'll allow myself like half an hour of it before this goes, like, so I don't know what to do with that. Like, it's so interesting. And, you know, why I'm like jealously guarding the no, I'm not going back to work yet. I'm not going back to work yet, is because the addiction to the hamster wheel is such a default setting. And as soon as I get back onto that hamster wheel, I stop listening. And it's like, if I'm going to build enough of a root system and a new default, if I get a chance to have a new default system that I can operate from but return to, rather than completely forget and go off piste and live the insane life of what we're supposed to be in order to be successful. Like, if I'm going to drop my anchor into a new me and have that be my default, my root that I come from and I come back to, I need longer. I need to keep slowing down and coming into intimacy and coming into intimacy and coming into intimacy and learning to listen at this level and learning to listen at this level. Like, okay, you know, I still have dehydration issues, even though I'm 50, whatever I am. And, you know, I drink everything in sight. My body is still conditioned from how I conditioned it when I was young. And it's like, okay, this there's this relationship with water that I'm still in. Like, how do I move through the layers of its fear for me, the layers of fear that prevent me from being in deeper intimacy and having the feeling relationship with water. And it's like, I want that. I want it. So it's going to take more time. Like it takes time to melt the ice of trauma and sink into the river of feeling, and that is a planetary journey that we're actually on. It's a community journey. It's an individual journey. It's a relational journey with other and self and nature. It's so fundamental, and we're not going to get there by running. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing I remember inside of Tree Sisters was, but they're cutting down the trees. They're cutting down the trees. Like, and the carbon's going up in the atmosphere, and we've just got to plant more trees, and we've got to do it faster and faster. And it's just like, how you deal with the urgency of the situation out here and the need for slowing.
I know.
On the inside, it's such a contradiction. It's such a contrast. And all I know is I can't sort that out from the same energy. I can't do it. I have to learn a different language. I can hear Mark's voice. No, you get to learn. Like, I get to learn a new way of being in the world from where I face into what's going on, and I come at it with a different energy and a different vibration and a different relationality that's born of a calm, deep anchor into real relationality through presence. That presence then gets to inform me how to take action. And until I'm there, I can't engage. I won't engage. I don't trust myself. I'm not going back into hamster wheel. I'm just not going back into hamster wheel. It's like, it's not going to happen. Like, there's, for humanity to slow down enough to feel and connect to and respond and take action from reverence, we got to slow down. We've got to slow down enough to feel and relate. And I truly believe that's a water state. It's a water state.
We gotta learn from water. Oh my God. And it just make me think, like, when you say, like, I cannot save the trees if I go with that energy. If we go into this low down energy, and it may seem to our system or the way we function or we learn to function that we're not doing anything, but maybe that's the answer. We don't need to do anything, because then the earth, the water will restore itself, and we're not damaging the water. I don't know. It's just like
it's a conundrum. I don't know the answer, but if you think about dehydrated land and a rainstorm, oh my God, let's take action. The rain is going to pour down, and it's going to run off, and it's going to strip the topsoil.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a frazzled human. A frazzled human is like caked soil that is so, hardened, it can't actually receive, it can't feel. So it's like, we have to, God, I keep saying it, Mark. Every time I say have to, Mark says get to, have to, get to. It's one of our relationship dynamics.
Yeah, we're so conditioned, I know.
Oh, like water, the best thing you can possibly have is hydrated soil and a soft rain. So the soil can absorb the rain. Okay, well, that is not a tight state. That's not a on state. It's a soft state. It's a receptive state. So there needs to be this softening and this receptivity so that we absorb, so that we can listen, so that we can receive. I mean, so I think the water has it has the messages for us. And what are we doing? Well, we're moving into climate extremes, which means hard soil, hard rain, topsoil stripping, erosion, soil that can't absorb, soil that's dying, water that's landing in the wrong place. It's like we're so off whack. But again, in that off whackness, I can't contribute something different to it if I'm frantic and in fear. Like, I don't know what's next for me. I don't know whether I'll go back into environmentalism, or whether I'll go back into consciousness work, or whether I'll go into trauma work, or I don't know what's it's gonna be. But I do know that it has to come from a rooted, connected, hydrated place. Has to come from a hydrated place. The other thing I was just thinking about when we were talking then was water and love, like the relationship between water and love, how water permeates everything and it is the source of life, and how love permeates everything and is actually the universal language.
There you go. Yes.
So you want to communicate with whales, you want to communicate with, hummingbirds, you want to communicate with the trees. You come into your heart, you come to the organ that has the capacity to log on to the vital web of creation, and you commune through love. Well, again, it's just like, what is the great unifier? Water. What is the great unifier? Love. Like, how is it essentially not the same thing? So we come back to that frequency of what unifies, what separates, fear. What unifies? Love. What do we want? Do we want separation and fracturing, or do we want unification? How are we stronger, fractured or unified? Does water choose, I'm going to hydrate you, but I'm not going to hydrate you? No, it's just universally, if it's there, it's just universally shared with everything. It's just available the way love is when it's, not withheld. I think the orientation of love is not to be withheld. I think humans withhold it because of our mental conditioning and our, the mess that we get into with everything that we know we get messed up by. But nevertheless, I think the love doesn't want to be contained. Water doesn't want to be contained. Love will flood into any situation. Water will fill the shape that it's put into. It's just like, that givenness, that generosity. Oh my God, the generosity of the human heart in its essence, and the generosity of water,
I don't know if you saw what happened right just now, but our website came up down here, and I don't know if you realize what website is that, but I didn't do anything. Like, it just came in. I was like, what's going on? That website is from Juanita Robertson.
Juanita making her presence known.
Right now when you were talking, and she's such a water person and energy. And I actually had an interview with her yesterday, and that's why the system has the website here, because at some point when some people want, I can present their work or I put it, but it was just, I didn't do anything. Just
well, she's the Greek queen. She's the water woman. That's
she is the water woman. There you go.
Juanita's extraordinary. Yeah.
That was just like, wow. But I really love how you comes the word love to that thought. Is, I think is at the end is all about that. We are so into our minds and so used to that, and we never learn how to connect to, like connect to our hearts and talk through our hearts, or nobody taught us about it. It's just all about the mind. And I think sometimes is like I have to be conscious in order to do that. But as you said something before, it's like you have to try, and it's almost like a training. It's
muscle. I've always said.
Yes, there you go. It is a muscle, and you have to, because we're so conditioned to just everything happens here. But this is just so powerful how it connects, and I'm remembering something right now that these days you posted something about telepathy or connection.
Telepathy tapes.
Yeah, like how we can connect with others. I don't know if I say it right in English. Yeah, yes, like how we connect with others, and autist kids can connect with each other, and all this happens, and is a lot through the heart. And I guess we need to learn a lot about that. The language of love.
For anybody here that hasn't listened to them, the telepathy tapes, they're all over Spotify and Apple Podcasts and anywhere you can find them. And they are about the non-speaking autistic children who communicate telepathically with each other, who cannot lie, and who operate in a field of pure love and experience themselves. They're completely restricted in our realm, but they exist on all other realms. And they're like, Kai Dickinson, who did the podcast, just calls them spiritual savants. They're so advanced. They're so advanced. And it's incredible to me and so hopeful at this point when we've got, I call Trump the wrecking ball. Like, we've got the wrecking ball who is smashing like the constructs that have held our world in its particular shape, just obliterating everything so that we are forced to come back to our true value system. And at the same time as all that shattering is happening, you've got things like the telepathy tapes, which bring through a profound frequency of love, which is like the light shining through all the shattering. It's like, yeah, there is a higher human waiting to be born. There is a more aware species waiting to be born. There is. It makes me incredibly hopeful that the two things are going on simultaneously. Just like right now, they're discovering, those 8 massive columns underneath the pyramids in Giza. And oh, you think there weren't advanced civilizations? You think you know what a human is? It's just like, and we've got UFOs everywhere, and it's just like, woo! It's all happening. Like the phase of humanity that has been psychically limited is coming to an end, and the phase of humanity that is going to be a cosmically connected, telepathically enabled or abled, we're gonna have to come back into relationship with the natural world, or it's over. But the reason why we've got so much UAP activity is because they don't want us to trash our planet. Our planet is really important. And so, it's getting so damn interesting, and in the middle of all of this, what's the call? The call is to recognize the insanity for what it is, not get caught in it, and come back again, come back to the heart, come back to the heart, come back to the heart. As fear is going out of control, come back to the heart. It's like, log on to love. That's what we're there for. Like, if all else fails, come back to love, come back to generosity, come back to kindness, come back to compassion. Build that frequency in yourself. And, can we commune? Can we commune? Can we be humble enough to open our mind, our perception, our heart to the more than human that wants to help us learn how to live in a miracle, as a miracle, and allow this world to restore itself? And, oh my God, it could just be so incredibly beautiful.
It can. Beautiful, magical. We just don't want to see it, and we don't want to do it.
We're born for beauty. We're born for intimacy with nature, and nature is so exquisite, and it's all there. It's waiting for us.
It is. And I want to believe that we're living in very interesting times, all those, a lot of crazy things are happening, but a lot of interesting things are happening, and it's just like a moment of shift, and I really want to see where all this is gonna take us. But yes, we just need to open our hearts.
It's a lot gonna happen in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Fair amount happen in mine.
Well, hopefully we get to see some of that. If not, at least we're in interesting times and we were part of something. Yeah.
No, I'll end with one little story.
Yes.
I was doing a Joanna Macy deep time meditation years ago. I mean, I must have been, I don't know, it's probably 20 plus years ago. And I went to a future that was really frightening. And it was fascist. And it was very dark, not unlike what it looks like we're heading into right now. And there was so much, I was terrified. It was just terrifying and I couldn't get out of it. But what I saw was there were beings from all across the universe, like streaming in, like Earth was the place to be. This was the cutting edge of the evolution of consciousness right here. Like there was such massively accelerated evolution going on our planet that everybody wanted to be here to help. Like the non-human, the angelic, the alien, the whatever, like everybody was just pouring in. And I remember just sitting there and just feeling like, it's okay, help is going to come. And now I feel like we're there, like we're entering into that time. And sure enough, the help is coming in. The help is coming in. You know, we're not alone. And again, it's like, what are you going to do? Log into your heart, log onto that frequency, log onto the universal frequency of love. Make yourself available. Believe, intend, commune, slow down. See what happens. Become the best us that we can be. Become the most loving beings that we can be and make ourselves available to something greater and see what happens.
Beautiful. I just can't say anything else, you know. Let's just like connect to that love and what you just shared with us. And I can't thank you enough, really, really, Claire. That was like so beautiful, so inspirational. And I felt the love, I felt the connection. And that's all. That's all I needed. And I hope everybody that gets to watch this can feel it, can get inspired, for us to all at least open a little bit of our hearts, connect to that love, and to be more connected to what really matters, to nature and to life as a whole. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks for this connection. Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks everybody that is watching. Keep on watching Grandma's March and Clare Dubois. You can find her in Facebook or wherever, with her magic, her wisdom, and all the love that she always shares. So have a great evening, afternoon, good morning, whoever is watching, and see you soon. Thank you so much. Much love.